Hello, Noah. So, what first got you interested in playing Standard, and what kept you playing it in the past?
That's a funny question because you actually got me into competitive Magic when I first got a job. You were like, "Hey, why don't you build a deck and play like tournaments?" And I did, and and then I never really stopped because I loved it so much. Although I kind of have stopped in the past, just like the past few months, just because of because I guess there's just not standard's not that great right now, and I guess just Magic in general is not really thriving. Sometimes you go to a store and it just like a tournament doesn't even fire, um, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I mean I've always been kind of a competitive Magic addict.
All right. In your opinion, what caused the decline of in-person Standard events here in Albuquerque?
Well, obviously COVID, when COVID happened, that really hurt the paper scene quite a bit, and I don't really think it's recovered from that. Obviously, there's more factors like just the health of the format has kind of declined. I kind of think that Wizards doesn't really put much effort into making a good standard format anymore. They more are focused on Commander because that's where that's what makes them money. Um, yeah, uh, yeah. I guess also their the judge program is another thing. Some stores have just stopped having judges, which I think is very bad. Or they'll just have like the store runner kind of answer calls, which I don't often they'll get it wrong, so that's not good. I guess those three things. Yeah, COVID I guess was the catalyst, and then yeah, I would say that Wizards just not really caring about standard is kind of what's kept that happening.
Yeah, it's funny. There's like a juxtapose to this, and it's the whole Commander format thing. And when you call a judge for Commander call, I kind of low key like get irked a little bit. Like
Yeah,
it
it's
like
frustrating. It can be
bothers
frustrating.
me
Yeah,
when it's just some random store person and like
right,
they like rift bound or like One Piece and they come over and they
right.
answer some complex Commander casual game question. But yeah,
Yeah, and they don't really always know what they're talking about.
yeah, but then they act like they do though.
Right, of course, of course.
What barriers do you think prevent players from or trying or returning to standard play?
Well, money's a big one, obviously. I mean, cards are expensive, and nowadays, like when cards are just getting banned left and right, I mean, you don't really want to go and invest a bunch of money in a deck if you don't know if it's gonna still be legal in a month from now. So, um, that coupled with, I guess, what I said before about that format health, um, just not really being like how it used to be. The
Yeah,
gameplay is just not really like it was.
speaking of how it used to be, like yes, back in the day we had like Jason the Mind Sculptor or Stoneforge Mystic, not to get too esoteric,
Mhm.
but like those cards were worth a lot, right? But now it's like
Right.
every other card is that price almost.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
And
pretty it's
then
pretty crazy.
and then they've actually done more bans than in the history of standard in the past little while than ever. Like
Yeah.
they had that, what was it? I think it was 7 or 9 card banning all at once just a little bit
That's
ago.
right. Yeah, the previous. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Um,
So that's rough. Like I had my whole entire
yeah,
mono red deck just completely demolished by that banning.
yeah. And it used to be like bans in standard were like almost unheard of. Like Jason Mind Sculptor was like a one-off, right? It was a kind of like a fluke. Like really, there were not a lot of standard bans before whatever the last few years, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's funny because I think it's also the frequency in the set it leads to the mistrust more because it's fast
Hmm.
paced. They have to do more flash fire banning and like or they'll
Yeah,
let things go too long, like especially
like
with the
like
eternal format stuff, like with the One Ring
yeah,
and things like that.
yeah. Or Vivi just now was a very
Yeah,
recent example. They let that go a little too long.
yeah, and it seemed like it was long, right? But if you think about
Yeah.
it, also Final Fantasy wasn't. that long ago, right? I think
I
what
guess it
was it,
wasn't that long ago.
beginning of summer or middle summer? I can't remember. But yeah,
Yeah, it was only a few sets ago, I guess. It
yeah,
felt long. I'll tell you that much.
exactly, because of how much they're just trying to money grab. But
Yeah.
anyways, do you think consistent weekly scheduling, like a guaranteed standard night, would help rebuild attendance? Why or why not?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I mean, I think that that is you gotta kind of have somewhere for people of all skill levels to come and play, newer players, more seasoned players, I guess. Um, yeah, it's hard for stores, I know, because of various reasons, but because of attendance can be an issue, but I think that's a good thing for stores to do. I think that promotes, promotes like a paper scene, which is cool,
Yeah. And just to kind
and
of
a
add to
community scene,
that,
I guess.
it's also just Friday Night Magic is like the heart of where Magic used to be.
Right, it
Um,
absolutely did. Yeah,
but I mean, that's just another example of like where I remember that Commander started taking over Friday Night Magics, like at Steamship and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah.
But anyways, um, how important is it for stores to provide loaner decks or beginner friendly support for standard players? And before you answer this, I'll also say I'm pretty sure you've told me before that like you've won tournaments simply because your homies like loaned you decks, right?
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. A lot of. I don't even really own cards anymore.
Yeah,
Kind of just
that's
borrow,
awesome.
but
Hell yeah. I think that's the
yeah,
way to be pro these days pretty much too. I mean,
it that's what kind of all the pros do. Yeah.
yeah. And
Um, yeah.
anything
Go
else
ahead.
to add to that one? Go ahead.
Yeah. No. Loaner decks. I think loaner decks would be a great idea.
Yeah.
Um, but obviously there's issues of you know you don't want to give your cards out, your expensive cards out to just anybody. Um,
Yeah.
I do think. But I mean, there's ways to. Yeah. I mean, there's like something like Pauper or something like where the cards aren't, or some you can make up a format where there's like a budget, like a money limit. I also think that limited events, draft events, would be a are good for newer players because you don't have to have the cards. You can just go and then you get the cards there. So
Well, and we're speaking competitively, right? So, like, let's say you truly are, um, uh, pun intended, a loner, right? And
yeah,
you don't really have any homies to get loaner decks or like a system at your game store where someone allows that. There is
right,
also things that let you rent decks. I think it's like
yeah,
25, $35 or something like that. You can rent
really, okay,
pretty expensive decks. I think like
that's
Card
cool.
Conduit's one or something. I don't know, but that's
Yeah,
pretty dope.
yeah.
Let's see. Uh, And then what kinds of prizes, incentives, or entry fees do you think would attract more players to standard events?
That's a funny question because it's kind of everybody is kind of would probably give you a different answer. Like, um, some stores do like a just a fifth for RCQs they do a $15 no prize support system, but at the end you just get the invite, which I think I like that. I also don't mind playing like money tournaments, like tournaments for cash prizes. So I don't know what I don't know really what's out in the zeitgeist. Like I don't know what the majority of people like. I think most competitive players like to play for money, for like cash. So I think um that would probably be to gather some people in. But then again, like I said, it's kind of different for everybody. Some people
Do
just
you
want to go
know,
and have fun.
have you ran into anyone ever talking about, is there limits on if you can give out cash prizes to underage uh, people at game stores? Is that,
You know, I think there probably is some rule, but I think a lot of stores. I mean, I've I've seen kids win and get money, so I don't
yeah.
know if there's technically like a law or anything, but
Well, I guess I mean like
um,
thousands of dollars. I think big tournaments can do that if they
okay,
get
yeah,
sanctioned, you know what
yeah.
I mean? Because then it's
I
technically
have
counted as like
I
a
have
tournament.
right. I have heard of people getting invited to like pro tours or worlds and not be able to go because they're not 18. So
Yeah.
that might be a thing, and it might vary by country too. I'm not really sure. I
Okay.
don't really know the specifics of that.
Yeah. And speaking on incentives, I don't know if this pertains to it too much, but they used to provide I guess like some travel expenses and stuff like that, but they don't anymore. So that's a big
They
issue when
did.
it
They
comes to
did.
becoming like a pro in the circuit, right? So
That is a huge issue. Yeah, because I mean, they used to pay for your flight. They don't anymore. So it's sometimes you can, people will queue for a big tournament, a pro tour, and they just can't go because they just can't afford to go, which is pretty sad. But
and
um,
then, of course, yeah, most people would want money. But it's weird these days. Those collector packs are worth so much money that they could just give those more often,
yeah,
especially if
they
it's
could,
supplied by
and
the day.
that's what Arcana does is they just give out cards, and the cards can be sold for a lot of money. So I think that
Yeah.
that could be a workaround for the age thing.
Yeah, I remember that was a huge incentive for me when I was a kid. When I was playing competitive Legacy and Commander, they would be giving out like $500 cards or whatever as
Hmm.
the prize, but then the entry would only be like $20 or something. So kind of
Yeah, yeah.
cool.
There are still dual tournaments for dual
Yeah,
lands
dual lands
around here. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
And then, if Duke City Games heavily promoted Standard on social media or in-store displays, do you think that would increase turnout? But I will apply a caveat to this. They actually
Hmm.
do have a pretty good promotion if you give them your cell phone number, so they will text you a lot, which has actually got me to show up to
Really?
events plenty of times.
Yeah,
And their website is pretty well done. I just think that they could probably like what I'll add to this question is do you think that Duke City Games or game stores like it would do better if they had more like flyers or they did more in the physical media, like in the public?
yeah,
Do you think they could get more of a turnout?
yeah. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, yeah, definitely. Awareness is step one, right? So you want people to know that you're having a tournament. So yeah, that could certainly help.
So what I always thought, like if I had my own game store and I had the money for it, I would try to help with like schools. I just don't know how much schools are in support of a game that could be considered, dealing with money or gambling because I mean,
Right.
these cards are worth money or whatever.
Right.
But in the sense of like, if you donate, let's say, a set of 4 commander decks to a small class of like, eighth graders, and
Hmm.
or if you donate like, you know, um, some standard decks to, 10th grade class or whatever like that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I think
No,
that could
totally.
help. I just don't know how much
That'd be cool. Johnny used to do
they could
drafts at
regulate it.
at Southside.
Yeah, that's the thing is
Yeah.
they when you get into I've gone to other game stores where they've had programs with schools and it seemed like it was working out really well and those kids would come out and play and they do really well. So, but that I
Yeah.
just when it comes to online media, I mean that's just all over the place, right? And you pretty much have to visit their page to get that or like be their friend on Facebook or something. And I know nobody uses Facebook anymore, but
Yeah.
yeah. What would you personally need to see changed or improved in order to attend standard events more regularly?
Well, it's a long shot, but I would like R&D at WotC to start really trying to care um about the gameplay and the format.
Yeah,
I
Spider-Man's
don't know
a
if that's going to
perfect
happen or not,
example.
but yeah, that would get me to come back if there was a nice, a good, healthy standard format. Um, and maybe there will be, uh, even just by coincidence, but
Yeah, and I
yeah,
think it's almost by accident that one of the Spider-Man cards ended up being used in the top 4 decks right now. That
yeah.
the
I think that's
reanimate
I
deck.
think that's I think the case for a lot of cards. I don't think they thought Vivi was gonna be what it was. I don't think they thought.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
There's
feel like
there's
Vivi
countless
was a
examples.
little bit easier to see, but yeah.
I don't think they thought Saheeli was gonna be or Felidar Guardian was gonna be
Yeah,
um, what it was.
yeah.
But you know what I'm saying. Rogue Refiner. I don't think. But I guess that's a bad example because that's not really a commander card. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. I think.
No, if they so when it comes to powerful cards slipping through the cracks, Magic has been doing that since the first set. But
Yeah.
or I shouldn't even say it, they slipped through the cracks. I think they just didn't know what it was in the first set. back in
Yeah.
1993.
Well,
But
yeah. I mean, they don't. Yeah, they certainly didn't know what Black Lotus was, but but
but
yeah, in recent years, it does seem like they could be a little more careful.
I think that they could have done better with this Universes Beyond thing, like the Spider-Man set.
For
People were
sure.
happy about Final Fantasy, but then I heard that the draft format, which for those listening, a draft is like standards, just the new packs, but the draft format ended up like being a dud after like a month or two, right? Or did you like the
Yeah,
Final
yeah.
Fantasy draft
I
format?
actually I like Final Fantasy. Okay, I think Final
Oh,
Fantasy
okay.
was somewhat well received as a draft format. Spider-Man was a huge flop though.
Yeah, nobody was
Yeah.
playing draft at the game store, dude. Like there's a
No,
few
no, no.
people, but I think that's a big part of it. Is like, okay, so what introduces you to standard sometimes can be a draft, and so I think that's a
Yeah.
big thing for it for sure.
I
So
popped into a pre-release. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
you'd want to see R&D is the biggest change, like just more research and development on the cards, like
Yeah.
more practice with them, less
Right.
what
More
they
play
call it fire
testing.
designs or whatever, like those
Yes.
ones they
Yes.
just. And I think corporate's
Absolutely.
able to put their hands in those fire designs right last minute because I think there's been times where they're like that's what happened with Nadu in the modern.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, dude.
And Nadu was reading something totally different. They're like, we need to push this for Commander, change this up a little bit. It's going to be,
Yeah.
but yeah. Do you believe Standard will still has potential as a competitive format in Albuquerque? Do you think the community is shifting away from it permanently? Why?
I hope it does. I think that it definitely could come back. Yeah, I think that if I mean now that I don't know what I haven't been to an RCQ since Eevee's been banned, but so I don't really know what it looks like, but I definitely think that there's potential. I think that I would love to see it come back. I mean, Standard died before too, and then it came back in a big way a week ago. Um, so yeah, it could definitely come back.
Yeah,
You just gotta, you gotta, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but
yeah, that's the thing. I think there's so many different corners, and that like I've tried to tell people that the existential dread that is involved in the issues with Magic, it's like you can't just try to min max cost efficiency or try to min max advertisement or any of these topics that we've covered. I think it
yeah,
also kind of has to do with just like people's um, feeling on the game in the IPs it's using, and
uh
yes, the research and development, the way the cars make you feel when you play them. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So that's a big issue that nobody can solve, unless everyone work together. Who creates the cards and produces the cards to try to make a
yeah.
change? But they don't know the answers either, right?
Right, right.
They
That's
know
the issue,
they
I
probably
guess.
know some of the answers. Like, oh, if we overprint cards, yes, print everything to oblivion. It's affordable, right? It gets us more money too. Although the game stores get screwed over, and then the collectors get screwed. So
Right,
everyone gets screwed in a different way on trying to
right.
fix certain things. But I think when it comes down to it, teaching kids and making sure your cards work before you put them out, and then having person to person kind of involvement with the sharing of the advertisement of it, like going, oh, come to
Right.
this event, right? Or and that connection is the most important thing. I think
Mhm.
game stores being having good attitudes, which Duke City Games, they have great attitudes there, but
Yeah.
is a very
I
big
think that's
part.
huge, yeah.
Yeah, and then
'Cause we've all been to like, a game store that they don't have such good attitudes, and that's not really fun to go
no,
there.
it sucks. And then on top of that, then they'll sometimes just have bad price support too. And then
Yeah.
in the end, I think really one of the biggest top things is for if they focused more on trying to get people into enrolling in the judge program, learning how to be a good, like at least level 3 judge, right?
Yeah.
And then if they started to provide some sort of benefits to the pro players or people trying to get into the circuit, um, that would be amazing. Like if
That
even
would be
just bringing
amazing.
back the standard cards that they mail you. like back when they had the lightning bolts and the wrath of gods and
Oh yeah,
like those
yeah,
player rewards cards and stuff. But
yeah. Those are good. Those are fun.
um,
Good for players. Excuse me.
and then I'm supposed to recommend, or I'm recommended to get a permission statement, like verbal. So you're cool with me using this for school,
Yeah, you can use it. You can
the
use it for
interview?
school. Use it for
Okay.
whatever.
And then thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. Your perspective is incredibly helpful, and it gives me a clear understanding of what's really happening with Standard in our local community. Everything you've shared will directly support my research for this project, and I appreciate your honesty and insight. If you think of anything else later on that you want to add, feel free to let me know. Thanks again. I really appreciate your help.